Hi y'all. Patch 7.5 is here, and I have a lot of feels right now. You're shocked, I know. So I have done the Alliance raid, I have done the MSQ, and I need to yap. That I was really cooked with this patch, and I really need to get this out of my system. So we'll talk a little bit about the Alliance raid first, and then we're gonna jump into MSQ because there's gonna be a whole lot of spoilers there, and I kind of want to get the non-spoilery things out of the way first. So grab a drink, get cozy, and let's get to it. So now let's talk a little bit about the Alliance raid. So the newest installment of the Echoes of Vana'diel is Windurst the Third Walk. Now, I did play FF11 way back in the day, but it was a lifetime ago. And it was only for a few months, so I think maybe I was a little bit more separated from the whole nostalgia factor that other people had for this raid series. That said, I really enjoyed the series. It was so well done and paid homage to a game that many people cut their MMO teeth on. I think my favorite was Shantoto, whose chaotic, rhyming nature created this really beautiful fight. It really did make me want to go boot 11 up and go have some fun. And they recently announced that the FF11 seasonal event is coming back to 14, so I'm really looking forward to replaying it, because I'll be honest, I remember nothing about it. As many of you have figured out, I am here for the main story of 14, and the raid series, whether it's normal or Alliance, is no exception. But the MSQ for this patch, y'all, everything else in this patch pales in comparison. So, this is your one warning that we are about to enter severe spoiler territory for the main scenario quests. So if you haven't played through patch 7.5, pause now, go play it, and then come and finish this video. Oh wait. If there is one criticism of Dawntrail's storyline I have, it is that we never really got much of the Scions. And I know I'm probably alone in that. I know a lot of people are tired of the Scions, and I know that this wasn't their story this time. It was a story of Tural and Alexandria, and still it felt a lot like they were just kind of chilling and coming along for the ride, and their hearts weren't really in it. And that all seemed to change this patch. Their quirky little quips with each other, their dynamics as a group, it all seemed to kind of come back in this patch, and I loved every bit of it. The devs really stepped up their game with this MSQ. Almost every cutscene was voiced, the audio quality was great, and no one sounded like they were speaking from inside of a tin can. The pacing of the story was much faster than I thought it would be, considering that we only have half the MSQ this time around, with the second half coming in September. Thoughtful questions were raised that actually made sense and weren't glossed over, like, did Hydaelyn know about the solstice? Did she factor it into her plan with us? What is Helmarut's actual motivation? I love that right off the bat, they are not making Helmarut into this evil villainess that if she had a mustache, she'd be twirling it. Her motivations are pretty clear. She wants to prevent the solstice. But it's like the method that she's employing that puts her at odds with us, even though our goal is kind of the same. Not to mention, I kind of started questioning everything from the story. Like, did Emmett Selk know? Was that why he was so fired up about rejoining worlds? Was it that he missed those he loved, or was it something more? And then I started thinking about that spoiler rant he went on in Endwalker. You know the one.
Tell me, have you been to the ruins beneath the waters of the Bounty? or the treasure islands beyond the frozen waters of blind frost in Offerd's north. The fabled golden cities of the New World, the sacred sites of the forgotten people of the South Sea Isles. What about Mericidia, the southern continent? Do you know aught of its present state of affairs? I thought not. Even of your little Eorzea, you know precious little. The true identities of the 12, for instance. All of which is to say, expand your horizons, go forth and seek discovery. Some of the civilizations in the reflections will surprise you. As the bearer of Azem's crystal, you may consider your duty to see at least that much. I certainly did.
And I see that we're kind of like slowly getting through some of those things. And I love that the writing in this story makes me question everything that we know or have learned up to this point. We even got a little bit of the Crystal Exarch back.
Their tribulations ultimately afforded them control of the key, albeit in a limited capacity, which, of course, explains why they were able to instruct Zoralja in its use, thus enabling the unprecedented feat of transferring Everkeep and its environs to the source.
One of my biggest complaints is that G'raha Tia sort of just kind of became a fanboy after we brought him back to the source. And like, I get why, right? He's back home for the first time in decades.
G'raha Tia, at your service.
But I really did miss that like serious badass Exarch. Like I wanted him to own that he is that guy as well as the fanboy. I wanted more sides, right? He's an incredibly intelligent, cunning individual. And I'm so glad that we got to see that, even if it was just a quick little glimpse in the beginning. And it makes sense that the Exarch persona part of G'raha would show himself here, because like he's the guy that introduced the whole like interdimensional travel thing. He's the nerd that has 87 different advanced degrees and hasn't lost his insatiable appetite for learning. And much like Y'shtola, actually, who I am glad had a little bit of time to shine as well, even if she looked like a cat ready to pounce on something. Not even the smaller NPCs were spared from like a little bit of character growth. Like we spent some time with Ulyss, who showed how his own journey is going when he spared a Void Sense life and when he handed us a bag of dumplings to take to his best girl, Zero. I'm so hoping that we're going to see more of Zero in 8.0 because, oh my god, I love her so much. I was not a big fan of post-Endwalker MSQ. I found it dry and kind of boring, but like Zero was my one exception to that opinion because I adored her. And maybe I'm just a sucker for someone who goes from really not feeling anything to learning to live life to its fullest. But I want more. I need more of her. Now, okay, so like I could probably gush about the characters forever. So like, let's shift a little bit and talk about the huge lore nuggets that we got, y'all. So I had this conversation with some friends about the relationship between the shards and the source and how they aren't really universes of their own, but like little pockets of our universe sort of split away from the source. The whole like Hydaelyn Zodiark relationship kept those shards sundered from each other, right? That was Hydaelyn's whole thing, is that she sundered the star. And as powerful as Hydaelyn became, she could not sunder the universe. It was just our star. With both Hydaelyn and Zodiac pretty much annihilated, our star is trying to pull itself back together. Like, it's been split into the shards, and the shards are like really just trying to come back together. It's like nature trying to find its way to correct its own course. But it is like a very violent, traumatic event that will end all life and give way to the rebirth of a brand new world, which in this patch we learned is called the solstice. Everything we know and love will cease to exist, and all that will remain will be a newborn world starting a new life, with no trace of the old one. Enter Halmarut, who is trying to prevent the solstice from happening in whatever way that she can. And while her way will cost millions their lives, she sees it as the necessary evil to save the star from the solstice. And in fact, she challenges us to beat her to it, using whatever we feel we need to do, and that she would basically welcome us to race her to it. I think in some way, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like she wants us to do it first. She's not willing to wait until we get our shit together. At this point, we're kind of on a time crunch because one way or another, the stars are going to rejoin. And it's just how it gets done at this point. So after this gauntlet is dropped at our feet, we return to the Rising Stones, where we're joined by B-Team Scions. You know, characters of the best story of the game. I didn't think that I would miss the Rising Stones after Endwalker. I was kind of ready for a whole new base of operations. But like when I walked back into the Rising Stones, I walked around the place and I don't know, I was kind of hit with a little bit of nostalgia for the journey that we've had in the game so far, and like how far we've come from those early days where we wanted to punch Alphino in the face. But anyway, I am so excited for the next leg on our journey. Evercold looks amazing, and I am impatiently waiting for the next scrap of news to come our way. We have a couple of months before the FanFest in Berlin, and like all of my expectations of what we get during that FanFest have kind of gone out the window because NA FanFest blew me away. We got so much information at the NA FanFest. I don't know what's coming anymore, y'all. Yes, we do need to talk about like the new jobs that are coming. We got little glimpses of that. We got the short little teaser trailer. We know that we're going to get some of that stuff in Berlin, but like the really juicy stuff, it's all kind of up in the air. So let me know what predictions you might have for the next FanFest and what you think about the solstice or Halmarut or whatever else you want to yap about. What are you excited for 8.0, for 7.5, for whatever in 14 that you want to talk about? Let's yap, dude. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.